still go for. So like the Renekton is one of the highlight ones, but you know, things like the Ezreal is open, that's very safe to pick, very powerful pick. Things like the Orianna that have been able to dominate games.
We've also started to see things like the Gnar start to creep up as well as answers into this Renekton. We got to see in the last game. I'm 90% certain Rest played it the last day as well into the Renekton as well, but in that situation, it kind of works well where you can try and be that team setup. The Ahri going to be taken for Gloryy. We've had GB to high heavens sing the praises of Gloryy. So having him kind of take a step back from being a main source of damage to instead swapping over towards the Ahri. It is his most played coming in from summer, but I still think when I think of how Team Wells were able to find that success, it was Gloryy having those big moments. But on the upside, side, we already highlighted the Gnar. Rest looks like he's going to go back towards that. And now it is a case for JimieN. Like, what do you want to try and go for here? He had a fantastic performance on the Jace, but I don't think you can go for the Jace here with just how little AP damage you have.
Banana you mentioned though, locked in, and we'll see. I'm curious to see what JimieN plays in this one, because JimieN, I think, far exceeded a lot of people's expectations. His Jace yesterday looked really, really fantastic. Him and Rest pairing up with Rest on the Rumble, JimieN on the Jace. And we could see that Orianna that we've talked a lot about. We've not really seen as much as I expected so far. It's been kind of overshadowed by the Nico, but JimieN bringing it out. Yeah,
in the Not Worlds World Qualifying Series, we saw how important that was for Nuke. Like, incredibly strong pick when it's able to get those two items. So we'll have to see now, especially with the team fight setup you have on CFO, like, my God, you should be terrified as Team Wells. But I like what they're going for. They're, hey, look, let's go for the Lee Sin here for BeanJ. Let's try and have this setup where we can go for the strong mid jungle and see if we can try and play through that, play for picks. But when we got to yesterday, early to mid game, they were like, okay, cool, we can actually try and make this combo work. But I think they really struggled when they got to the later portion of the game where they were trying to, push waves to get vision, to set up to play this pick style of composition. And that's where Team Wells really started to struggle. So I want to see that short up here coming into this game if they're going to try and play around this combo.
Yeah, I mean, Team Wales managing to get that upset yesterday against BDS. But towards the end of those games, me and Ender were sort of playing the game of count the Barons. Like, how many Barons does it take to actually close out the game? So perhaps a little quicker today from Team Wales. But we'll have to wait and see how they play this one out. I like the old school trio, though. This is like old school, we want to take control of the early game.
Yeah, and I think as well, as you say, like, it's such a strong combo to try and play for things like Riptail, but also just try and play for your lane states. Point. The CC is there for a Lee Sin, which is the big thing that he wants. Blitzcrank respected here against Shiauc though. Nautilus going to be taken away on the opposite side. Probably going to be setting up for things like the Rell and the Alistar potentially to come through. I think for CFO side, Shiauc even taking, I think he's going to go for the Alistar here. He wants to try and say, hey, I'm going to be that big setup for things like the follow-up on Sejuani, setting up for Gnar, setting up for Orianna. It makes a ton of sense. And there's not a huge amount of champions that are good against it, because even if you go for the Rell here, you're in a bad spot. So Team Wales are going to say, hey, we'll actually take the Alistar in response, and then see exactly what Shiauc does want to try and go for.
And the Alistar is kind of a takeaway from Shiauc as well. Like, while we all know Shiauc's Blitzcrank is insane, it's not like it's his most played, it's a situational pick. But the Alistar, the Rell, these have been his bread and butter. Obviously the Nautilus as well, but Nautilus kind of everyone's bread and butter. And it looks like it will be the Rell locked in here, which worked very well with the combo that they've got. The one thing they're lacking right now is damage, basically.
That's going to probably be filled up here by Shunn coming in here. I expect something that's going to be able to do a lot of consistent, well, maybe I was going to say, kind of be that late game scaler, or at least provide a lot of that damage in the later portion. Now, you can still get a lot of work done in the early stages. Kalista, very strong early game champion. But my biggest worry is CFO like to try and play around bot side, but you're up against Rell into Alistar. Your setup's really difficult to try and make work, and Kalista kind of needs to snowball.
I've got to say it, for me, that's an MF angle. With this much CC and this much combo, that's an MF angle in my mind. But we'll see what Wales are going to do to try and answer this aggression in the bottom side from Shunn and Shiauc. They want to dominate the 2v2. Like you said, the Alistar could make that a problem. See what Artemis wants to take as well, because Artemis has been very impressive so far, and it will be that Aphelios locked in to play that defensive role.
It's a little bit of a funky one though, because you're kind of playing a lot of, hey, we want to go for dive with the Lee Sin, the Renekton, the Ahri, even the Alistar to a certain extent, right? But a lot of those times it's like, hey, we're using a flash from Alistar to get into a position to get a good knock-up. Ahri's going in with a long-range charm after using her Spear of Rush to get into position. So trying to catch up to these fights as Artemis might be a bit of a problem. I think he'll do well in a lot of situations because CFO were jumping onto him. But if Team Wales are looking to push their advantages, I'm a bit nervous that this fight might just be just out of his reach as Team Wales are trying to make that happen.
I am curious to just watch his general form on Aphelios as well, because Artemis, across summer, he's played 18 games of Xayah. He's played 16 games of Kai'Sa. Aphelios is next most played with 4 games. Whoa. Like, this guy plays Xayah and he plays Kai'Sa pretty much all year, but doesn't necessarily get that much opportunity to play the other picks unless they're banned from what you can divine from the stats. We'll see how his Aphelios is. I'm sure it's in great form if yesterday is anything to go on, because Artemis looked phenomenal. But it's CFO versus Team Wales here, and I've got to say, I'm excited because I feel like PCS versus VCS, these guys are pretty close to each other geographically, and I feel like VCS historically has built a reputation for being very fast, very aggressive, but Team Wales, I'd argue their playstyle is closer to what you expect from PCS.
Yeah, I mean, very slow. Going to be trying to see if they can kind of come online in those later fights, but or even just look for multiple Barons like we saw yesterday to try and close the game out. But we'll have to see. I mean, for Team Wales, I mean, big victory for them, picking up the first ever best of series win for the VCS second seed yesterday. So a big shout out to them getting that first win. But now again, they have to try and do what feels like a very uphill battle for them, going up against the PCS second seed.
Team Wales, they were the underdogs going up against BDS. They're the underdogs now against CFO, but the PCS, they look like the region to watch here at Play-Ins. We've seen PSG 4-0 so far. They're into that qualification match. CFO, they want to match their rivals from the PCS. They want to get to the qualifications too.
Yeah, CFO. We got to see Flying Oysters coming into Worlds last year, and I think they picked up a couple of fans. A lot of people not really like Flying Oysters. The name actually comes from the CTBC, the bank that they're sponsored by. It comes from their slogan. The slogan has the name family in it, which is what Famuli is actually the translation of Flying Oysters into Mandarin, which is why they're CTBC Flying Oysters. CTBC Family.
Family.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Like a little wordplay. It's the name for your team. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a huge fan of that. I'm also a fan of just the name Flying Oysters. Even outside of the wordplay, it's just a great name in general. And also, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention we have the Battle of the Sea Life on our hands. It's the Oysters in the blue corner. It's the Whales in the red corner. Who will come out as King of the Seas?
It's like, who would you win? 500 oysters or 2 whales? It's like, nobody knows, but we're going to find out.
Is it 1,000 oyster-sized whales or 1 whale-sized oyster? I don't know. We've got a bit of an all-in on the bottom side. Chelsea jumping forwards to try and find Prio here for Shunn. Not level 2 just yet. So they can't quite commit to the full all-in.
Yeah, they're going to be able to, though, to hit the level 2 first. Should be able to walk. Should be able to walk up here and at least smack the 2 minions in the front to use both of his stacks, but not really in a position to push too far forward, as you can already see. Shunn and Chelsea getting good control. So I think this is my biggest worry, is that I haven't been impressed with BA, and I know from watching like a lot of Goldberg streams when he was VOD reviewing these guys as well, hasn't been impressed by BA. So I'm curious to see how much pressure Chelsea and Shunn can get in this bot lane despite the weaker matchup of Rell into Alistar, and if this Alistar pick can give the control that this bot lane of Team Wales needs.
Keeping my eyes on BeanJ as well, because he's one of their sort of star players for Team Wales. He's the catalyst for a lot of their early presence, but Gemini, no stranger to the early game. This is a player that likes to get in those lanes, likes to gank at sort of level 3, this sort of part of the game. Now going for an invade on this Sejuani, trying to take away BeanJ's blue buff.
Yeah, nicely done. Hey, we got push on bot side. Shunn and Shiauc can come across. Fantastic. I'll take a blue for myself. And also kind of creating that split map where now if you're BeanJ, you have to try and move back up to this top side, try and play off the fact that Gloryy and also this Renekton have push. But may be a bit of a difficult situation for Gemini to try and contest. So I'm actually curious how this one pans out, because as you can see, BeanJ is like, well, cool. Lane Prio top side. I'm going to get this blue on the opposite end.
Gemini goes for his wolves. I don't know if that's just caution or if whether he's not willing to take the contest or if he doesn't know BeanJ's on the blue buff right now. Didn't go over any vision to get to this point. Now we'll definitely know that BeanJ's in the area, but it's too little too late. The blue buff is gone. Okay, just. Luckily for BeanJ, the smite was on cooldown for Gemini. Use that on the other blue buff.
But the thing is now, you've kind of got this push out coming through on bot side because of the way the wave is stacked. You've got control over mid, so even though Gemini was the one going for the invade, I wouldn't be surprised to see BeanJ try and clear out these Raptors that have just respawned of his, and maybe even contest the Scuttle Crab on the bottom side, pick up a little bit more for himself. So we'll have to see exactly what the plan is, but looks like with the stop off, he may be a little bit late to the Raptors on the bot side, actually even with Gloryy resetting. Okay, it's just going to be a case of, hey, we'll trade Scuttle Crab on opposite side. Maybe. I think he is going for it.
Indecisive, but yeah, he's looking like he's moving down towards that. Gemini, in the meantime, perhaps looking towards the actual bottom lane itself. All in from Shiauc. Stun is there to beer. I mean, he's not even needed. The flash is there. The ignite comes out. As Gravitum on both bot laners. BeanJ in the area. And Artemis, I think he maybe already used that route. Shiauc is very low. They've got to be cautious.
Shiauc's low, but the wave is still kind of pushing in towards Shunn and Shiauc, so we kind of have both junglers still hovering here to make sure one Artemis and BeanJ, who are also kind of taking low specifically to support, to push this wave in and get in a position where they're all right. Like you can see, look at Gemini, he's just re-going to this bottom side here.
Yeah, Gemini happy to stick around. And this is, you know, he's built a reputation for really focusing on the lanes in the very early stages of the game. Shiauc charging forwards, goes for beer. They know there's no flash available, and so it becomes a free kill. First blood for Shunn and Shiauc with a little help from Gemini.
Great mind game from Shiauc. He's like running immediately at Artemis, and you're like, okay, well that's clearly the person we're going for, but turns at last second, catches out BeanJ, stepping forward to try and knock back the engage coming through from Shiauc, so they end up getting the kill. BeanJ calls down to the bot side because Artemis is like, for the love of God, I need to push this in. Please give me some help or else I'll never be able to reset. And now BeanJ will start to move back in towards his own jungle. So nicely done by Gemini to get the first blood here.
Oh, will he? Actually just starts off the Drake off the back of, he knows that the enemy bot lane's resetting, his bot lane's resetting. Nobody has prio, so why not try and sneak away the dragon? I think he's going to get away with it.
It will slow him down a little bit, which isn't the end of the world when you already know you've got the advantage over Gemini, but Gemini is here. He's gone the wrong way around here.
Yeah, trying to find Gemini, I think, but BeanJ now stuck in the pit. Gemini moving around, just hiding behind the Drake here. BeanJ is going to be better at smiting than what you'd expect from Gemini, just with the fact he is that Lee Sin. With being in the area, Gemini has to back away. So, Dragon secured by Team Wales. 1-0 in terms of kills, 1-0 in terms of dragons. But all things considered, a quiet start to the series.
Yeah, I think this is where it's going to start to really pick up, though. Level 6 hit for Gloryy in the mid lane. He's burning through a ton of mana alongside JimieN, so JimieN actually going to be relatively safe because you want Spirit Rush into Charm, but I think you want to try and play mid. Shiauc, though, we get to play here. Very nicely done, right? Changes his direction onto BeanJ, gets the knockback, immediately gets the stun, and Gemini's there to follow.
It's the fact that Artemis also flashed. Like, Artemis was sure that he was going to flash onto him. So, very nicely done there by Shiauc. And it's kind of like how he plays Blitzcrank as well. You see him W in, you see him sort of flash forward, but then goes for a target that you're not expecting. It's all about the kind of misdirection.
I think, though, the misdirection right now is kind of where BeanJ is going to be in the map. He's already back down towards this bottom side, taking the scuttle again. You would consider that he's going to be moving up towards his top side, because you can actually see the little Kalista soldier is wandering around in the jungle to spot out exactly where the camp's been taken. But BeanJ now spot on that ward. It's a nice job by Shunn to kind of be a little bit of a heads up, as the BeanJ being in a different position than you'd expect because his top side is all about to spawn, but not able to get the play on the bot side. Shunn will now know that he's reset thanks to Shiauc clearing out that ward, and they'll be able to crush this.
Yeah. I feel like those Kalista ghosts are... They really give you a false sense of security. They're very weak in terms of ward. It's no Ash Hawk choice. You know, at the end of the day, like, it's very easy for a jungler to dodge those, so I like that they're also warding the river.
Yeah, when you play Metal Gear Solid on easy mode, it's like, oh, okay, I can see exactly where they're looking.
It's BeanJ in the river, just hidden under a box.
But, unfortunately, the box is well spotted by CFO. So again, you're going to be moving up towards the top side. And I like that BeanJ's been trying to get access to these lanes, but it hasn't quite come into fruition for him. Now with level 6 hit for himself, Gloryy here in mid, I want to see this play happen. I'm even looking at the amount of rotations we're having for Rift Herald. And Team Wales almost always completely rotates all 5 members up here. So if CFO have done their homework, they should know they're here. And that's why they're kind of having their own squad starting to rotate up towards this top side.
This might just be a 5v5 we've got on our hands, Dagda, as BeanJ comboed up, Herald taken. And Shiauc, unfortunately, on the wrong side of the play, punted back by Beer, but he's got a Kalista, so he'll get out. Nobody dies, Herald stolen away, though, by Gemini.
So you're happy out as CFO, managing to get into position where they're like, fantastic, we can steal this away. BeanJ left on his own in the pit with Rest able to get control over top side, so nice job. And now again, you can start to rotate this around. I imagine it is going to be a Rift Herald in towards the mid lane, like try and snowball the Orianna. Because one of the big things we've noticed with like Orianna builds coming into Worlds is, hey, we've moved away from we're going to go for tiers, we're going to go for like 2.5 to 3 item spikes. It's I'm going to go for Liandry's, I'm going to go for Shadow Flame, and just try and spike earlier off of 2 items, but kind of forego a lot of that late game burst damage that we kind of come to expect.
We'll see. I feel like those individual item spikes are all significant as well. Like when a mythic is finished for either of these mid laners, it does feel like a big moment in the build where suddenly that shockwave comes online. Suddenly Gloryy has either assassination potential or Everfrost potential, depending on which type of build he wants to go for. But looking towards sort of later in the game, you do get a little bit nervous for CFO. Anytime there's a Kalista in the game, I get a little bit nervous about what happens sort of beyond 30 minutes. With a composition like this, you would want CFO to be trying to push the envelope a little bit more.
I think they've found their advantages through bot side already. The fact they've got the Rift Herald has been great. Obviously, losing Dragon kind of sucks. But I think you're actually in a strong enough position right now with Kalista being, you know, 8 or well, nearly 10 CS up, let's say, in that bot side. Yeah. You're also looking at the fact that JimieN has been able to farm effectively in the mid lane. Rest is doing well, relatively well in that top end. Like, the only thing you're really worried about now is like this second dragon that's about to spawn in 50 seconds. You want to try and make sure that JimieN has his reset, has at least picked up, well, I suppose he's just back for his Phoenix Codex. Probably won't have enough to just barely finish his first mythic beforehand, but you should be very close to your Blade of the Rune King here for Shunn. Like, these are the spikes that you're really looking to play off of at this next dragon, and hope that then you can start to snowball this one.
Dominus in the top side. Sparda, I don't think he has the damage to actually finish this kill off, but he does still have his flash available. He's going under the tower, taking a couple of shots himself, and Rest is about to turn Mega Gnar. This could get dangerous for Sparda, but Rest decides it's not worth trying the all-in.
I like it from Rest though. It's like, hey, my flash is super valuable if we are playing for this dragon. As BeanJ, no!
He's pulled in, he's CC'd up. There's no way out of that one, and the Herald on top of it. JimieN getting some gold there. Or he gets a combo, but that's all he'll get. Jungler down, and CFO with another advantage.
Great pick. Shiauc coming over the wall with Gemini. They don't even have to use the ult from Gemini as well, so if someone gets a little bit too close to this, they should be able to pick them off, but I don't think anyone from Team Wells is going to commit to this. Really nice setup to get BeanJ before they have to go for that dragon.
Gloryy trying to all in onto JimieN here. Gets the true damage off of his Orb of Deception. Denies access to this wave as well. And I don't know if he got that plate gold. I think that plate gold might have gone while he was out of range.
Yeah, just about, but now Gemini's in behind. Last charge there for Gloryy. No flash, but just going to be a scare in him off.
Oh, all in on the bottom side. Shiauc takes a bit of damage, but again, that's twice already that Shiauc gets to go too far forward and gets away with it because of the Kalista.
And twice Artemis has bonus flash in bot lane for not really needing to. Like, flashes in aggressively, try and find that play, but you're just taking Shiauc out of the equation. BeanJ is here on bot side, has flash and kick, so maybe they can make something happen.
Gemini going slightly sideways on that one. It's a great little combo, though. Gemini taken down. Team Wales finally get themselves onto the board, and you've got to be a little bit nervous for Shunn and Shiauc here. Shiauc pretty low, but against a Rell, probably not willing to dive.
JimieN was missing from mid lane, so they don't want to overcommit to anything on that bot side, but yeah, I think for Gemini, he needed to flash the initial engage coming through from BA. Or sorry, the follow-up engage coming through from BA if he was hoping to survive that. But this here, beautiful stuff. So Rift Herald goes down, and BeanJ, you gotta know Gemini's there. Like, literally, you get a big purple thing that says Jungler is in this bush right here, and then it doesn't expect Shiauc to be here. But it's a nice turnaround pick. I thought they'd go for bot lane. BeanJ gets the kick, but here, with the flash coming through from BA, they didn't really have the vision of the Alistar. So unfortunately, even though he had flash, he goes down, but Artemis!
So
that shield.
Close. Yeah, that safeguard. BeanJ literally saving the life of Artemis right there. And he will walk away. And again, trying to put the pressure on with this duo. Sees an opportunity where BA isn't in the lane. Couldn't quite finish off the damage. Honestly, I feel like that's quite lucky that BeanJ is able to flash in range to get the safeguard.
Yeah, that was incredibly close. Just the fact if Artemis had gone down, that's immediately more plates going over to this Kalista. She's going to be in a fantastic spot. Also, because you knew that BA wasn't in that bot side, it actually ends up messing up the mid lane play that they were trying to go for Team Wells as well. Gloryy was trying to see if they could get onto JimieN there, but not really in a position to do so now either. So a lot of those kind of plays falling apart for Team Wales. But again, it's more of a case of we're just waiting for 40 seconds. Rift Herald's going to be up. First item's now completed for CFO and also for Team Wales on the opposite side. So for Team Wales, can they find that pick before they go for Rift Herald, or Shiauc after sneaking into a perfect spot against an AD carry that has no sums?
Gloryy, opportunity on the bottom tower here, but JimieN, he's nervous. There's a lot of vision in that bottom jungle from the red side. There's a singular control ward in there from the side of CFO. There's Gloryy. Oh, good little charm. Gemini in the area, though. JimieN, I think he's trying to look juicy, but it's not going to happen.
I think that's kind of the thing that a lot of people forget about Ahri, because we've had such mobile mid laners for a while, is how good she actually is in a side lane. The ultimate gives you so much pressure where you can overextend and start to hit towers, whereas Orianna is in a very vulnerable position when she goes for this. So that's why you're having Gemini down here to be like, well, I need to be here in case BeanJ shows up. JimieN becomes very vulnerable underneath the tower. We could easily go for dives as Gloryy, so that you need to back away, which means that now, actually I was going to say they're going to go for Rift Herald, but rest. BeanJ, yeah, it's doing work.
Yeah, gonna be knocked back here, and actually a bit more of a combo as they get the ultimate onto Artemis instead. Shunn dives on forward and runs him to pieces. Shiauc, the target is BA. He runs out of ultimate and runs out of life. 2 more souls collected for Shunn.
I feel really bad for BA in that one. BeanJ just booted Shiauc onto him, was like, no, he's your problem. You have the Magnet Storm, I'm gonna peace out. So BA has absolutely nowhere to go, but big play from Rest. The fact he actually gets that damage on a Sparda in the top lane means that you can't really compete, and Sparda's now going to die!
No, that's not the place you want to be. Another kill. Gemini taking that one. I feel like you want the 4th kill of the Kalista, to be honest.
He flashed for it. It's worth it.
He's already got that hat trick. They'll be okay. But another pick for CFO. It feels like when it comes to these rotations, CFO have got it on lock.
And that's the thing. Wales were like, hey, we need to try and correct this top side, otherwise we can't go for Rift Herald, which means the Shiauc again hiding in these books, and Gemini, beautiful ultimate again, flashless, cleanseless, AD carry is easy pickings, and Shunn is just having a field day in these 2 fights.
And it feels like we're getting that early power from the Kalista that we were wanting. Sparda, I feel like you should have known that you don't have the right to walk into that river right there. As the Herald is taken, that's now in the pocket of Gemini. At least Gloryy can answer with the tower on the bottom side. The gold lead starting to slowly build in favor of CFO. Not too significant just yet, but it's where the gold is, right? You can see the gold difference over time, just spiking. But Shunn has so much. That's the key thing here, is that Shunn is now at a power point.
Yeah, but Blade of the Rune King completed, also having that Rage Blade in his back, or the Rage Knife, sorry, in his back pocket. It's going to help out, and that's why you can see Team Wales is like, no, we cannot contest for this next dragon. At least having one will give them a little bit more wiggle room where they can get to the later point, but realistically, you're kind of waiting on Artemis to hit to 3 items, which you're just so far away from that. Whereas on the opposite side, JimieN is already powering through his first item. He's got a bit of skills for himself, so he's able to work towards that second one, which I imagine is going to be the Shadow Flame. And then a CFO, you're good to party. Whereas for Team Wales, I think your pick comp for working between BeanJ and Gloryy just hasn't really come to fruition.
We're seeing a lot of Alistar value against these Heralds today, but they won't have the damage to actually finish it off. It will be the tower taken down. It's going to be the Spirit Rush. A charm lands as well from Gloryy in the bottom side. JimieN could be in trouble as the shield is burst through. The Orb of Deception and the Spirit Rush won't come through in the end. Gloryy having a decent game for himself. I will say, if we take a look at the solo lanes quickly, big CS lane for Gloryy. Mild CS lead in the top side for Sparda as well.
Yeah, I just don't know if they're going to really be able to play through it. I do think Gloryy having control against JimieN is great, but it's going to become more and more difficult for you to actually create any sort of pressure with Gloryy when you shove in mid as Shunn and you immediately have Gemini and Shiauc like playing into the jungle like this. They know that they've got such a big advantage in the AD carry role and win the 2v2 prio mid that they can actually rotate in and just push Gloryy away from the tower, and when the bot tier 1 goes down, suddenly the map becomes significantly smaller for Gloryy to try and play that one out. So I think this is where, again, Team Wales, you got to try and find picks. You got to try and find creative plays of BeanJ and Gloryy to work together against JimieN. But when you don't really have control of your jungle, that becomes significantly more difficult.
I have to say, Dagda, I'm really disappointed that we got a Kalista in this game. Not because I don't want to see Kalista. Kalista's exciting. But I was so ready with all the Kraken Slayer versus the Whales puns, and we get the 180 carry in the meta that doesn't build Kraken Slayer. Oh, to be fair, I wouldn't
don't worry,
say
we'll get
Kalista's
Ezreal
in the
next
meta,
game as well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. We'll get Ezreal. Oh, dear. But interested to see how this one's playing out, because honestly, when you look at Team Wales, the way that they've played, they typically like a slower game. They're not necessarily the most aggressive team. But CFO, neither are they. They come from a region where playing slow, playing cautious is sort of the norm. And you can see that they're very comfortable with this style of play.
But that's the thing. It's like when you win out before you get to the fight, well, it's going to be slow. Like they get to pick onto BeanJ before they get to the objective. They're looking for, actually it's going to be a Void Staff coming through for JimieN. Yeah, though.
We watched that ward get placed down. Shiauc, I think, was already shopping at that point, but it doesn't matter because the Fate Skull comes on through. That should be a 0-3-5 Shiauc, but they're playing so well around this Kalista ultimate. Beautiful.
Still, though, this opens up Team Wales to know they've got the numbers advantage in mid, but with an ulting, well, the ult available for the Gnar, they're going to end up backing away. So, yeah, I mean, at this stage, it's like Team Wales, yeah, you're kind of half on the advantages, you're trying to find the picks, but it's not quite working out for you. And then, again, when it gets to team fights, I kind of just give the edge to CFO. You've got Shiauc, who's great. Gemini is going to be fantastic. JimieN having access to a bit of a wombo alongside everyone is going to be a very tough fight.
I think the only advantage that you can give to Team Wales when it comes to those later fights is your scaling of your AD carry. If we do get to like 6 items, that Aphelios can start to make a difference if he's got the right weapons in the fight. We've all seen what a late game Aphelios can do, but it's so circumstantial. You kind of need the stars to align. You need to be in the right position. You need to have got late enough in the game. Kalista now hitting 2 items. CFO are going to want to start to increase the pace of the game a little bit. They are spiking really hard on this Kalista.
Yeah, I mean, but for CFO, like, it's kind of a case of, right, we'll just keep doing what we're doing. We're winning it as we're moving across the map. And honestly, I think this is why CFO have been so successful domestically, right? When you look at they've been in 4 splits, 3 splits, they make it to finals. The other split was they finished in 3rd. Like, this has been a team that has come into the PCS and looked absolutely spectacular. And it is the opportunities of, hey, we've got an incredibly strong bot lane. We've got a 3-0 Kalista in this one that we can look to play around. Shunn and Shiauc have been the carries. Now they're looking to play around them again.
Oh, good ult from Gemini, and the follow-up on Tabia does have some breakable will, and now some shurikens picked up from Artemis. It's enough to dissuade the play with Gloryy teleporting in the mid lane.
I saw where JimieN's orb was, and I was like, that's a monster shockwave. And I think Team Wales kind of breathing a sigh of relief that one didn't end up triggering, because that would have been a very disastrous point. The fact that you end up with Gloryy TPing, I think, scared CFO a little bit, but again, they're kind of getting what they want. It's clear the vision now, just slowly but surely eke that one up, and even though it's not the kills, they're going to be in a fine spot. Dragon, 16 seconds. You can see a little bit of a late reset coming through from Shunn. They want to move over towards that, but it also means that Gloryy might be in behind for the pick on JimieN, but he's out.
Yeah, JimieN gets out with his life here. Gloryy is on 2 items at this point, and you can see the Event Horizon. It's not the Event Horizon, that's Vigars. Horizon Dawn? No, that's a different game. Horizon Focus. I always call it Event Horizon in my custom games, and it's got to a point now where it's like removed the name of the actual item. But the increased damage off the back of the charm now means that you really are into one-shot potential.
Which means that you'll get Shiauc down to like 10 HP before he gets boarded down. It's going to be real close though, real close to get Shiauc.
I will say, the fact I called it Horizon Dawn as well, that feels like fate, because we do have Artemis, God of the Hunt, in the game. That's a game all about hunting. You know, it all lines up.
I really wanted to make, like, if Artemis messed up, there's an Irish author called Artemis Fell. Sorry, who wrote Artemis Fell. And it was like, oh, he's really messed up because that's an Artemis Fell. But it was like, I don't know if it's a big enough book. It sold like 50 million copies. And I'm like, I feel like there's maybe enough people who get that reference.
I think, like, I know of Artemis Fowl, and I was on the same wavelength. Like, do I reference Artemis Fowl? I don't know if it's a popular enough series to reference.
The thing was, I messaged Medic and was like, hey, what do you think about this? As actually Shiauc? But yeah, I messaged Medic and was like, what do you think about this? Can I make this joke? And he was like, compare the 50 million copies that were sold to Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. And I was like, yeah, they sold slightly more by like the 100. It's a very different story comparatively.
Yeah. That said, though, that doesn't mean Artemis Fowl isn't a big series. I'll defend Artemis Fowl. I've not even read it. I can't actually reference it anyway, but, you know, like, I was just going to use it as a simple wordplay, so I'm in too deep in this conversation, I'll be totally honest. Feels like Team Wales were a little bit in too deep. They're going to have all of their vision cleared here. Baron is up onto the map. Feels like that's where the teams are starting to lean now. Still 3.5 minutes, still the next Drake. CFO on that soul point, but it's a Cloud Soul, so not going to be the end of the world. Does open up that Elder Drake later on in the game. BeanJ moving in to try and clear the wave. I'm not sure that was necessary. Comboed up, he will escape with his life though. Shiauc could be in trouble, but the Fate's Call once again. Beer on the front line. BeanJ jumps in for the kick onto Shunn. It's gorgeous from the jungler. Shiauc with a stun, but Glory's here to clean up. Gemini walking away as Rest tries to get Gloryy away from the rest of his squad. CFO though pushed away. It's 2 for 1 so far, and Team Wales, they're happy to go towards that mid lane.
That was a scrappy one, but Team Wales actually have to come out on top. B with a big engage onto Shunn that then sets up BeanJ, and just like that, they've come alive. They'll get the mid lane turret. And I thought that this was going to be a very different conversation where Flying Oisters were able to take it, but Wales proving me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's really lucky that they managed to get the jungler so Baron couldn't go down.
But that's the thing, look how much was invested. Ult from Shiauc, ult from Gemini, ult from JimieN, all on to get BeanJ, and he gets out. Big gets a beautiful engage onto Shunn. Shunn flashes away from the charm, but it means that when BeanJ goes in here, it's the perfect setup because Shunn has nothing left. The ward, or the safeguard onto his teammate to get the distance on the follow-up. Beautiful stuff from BeanJ. And once Shunn's down, consistent damage isn't there. Rest not having Mega Gnar, JimieN not really in a position to consistently get the command attack and command shockwaves to deal the damage.
And you can see the damage Gloryy is doing. That kind of fight is Ahri's playground, where everyone's starting to get low, everyone's trying to escape. You just chase them down, you get those resets. You start to clean house. 6-3 on the scoreboard, but the gold is within touching distance right now. Team Wales fighting their way back into things.
Yeah, the thing is though, like, CFO are trying to ARAM this a little bit too much, where it's like, hey, we could actually try and push in the mid lane and then like rotate up towards this top side. I don't know if I have a second to draw on this, so I might just hold on.
Maybe not. Glory's on the flank here. No, you don't have a second Dagda, but Shiauc does. He's found multiple seconds onto Gloryy. What an engage from the support. And now Beer left to the wolves as he'll be rendered to pieces. Shunn with a double kill. That might just open up the Baron, but Shiauc's gone too deep this time. Rest with a triple. No, the shockwave! What a combo! CFO making it happen.
Flying Oisters are sending the Whales into the air with that shockwave. JimieN, that was sick with Rest. And just like that, they turn over towards the Baron. They get the fight they need, and they'll get to crack open this game massively in their favor.
Just when a play goes positively for Team Wales, and there's a little bit of hope back for the VCS, CFO, they slam the clam shut, as it were, and they take themselves a Baron here. They take themselves a significant gold lead, and they begin their Red Bull Baron power play.
Yeah, and look, they're not going to stick around to try and get the top turret, but big focus now is going to be that next dragon. But Gloryy trying to play off towards the side, but ends up going that bit too far. BeanJ trying to engage. Great turnaround engage from Shiauc. And B is just trying to save them, which means there's actually little engage left on Team Wales to turn this around. So they end up picking off the Alistar off the back as well. And then we got to look at Rest. Turns Mega, moves for, flashes in. Artemis Gale Forces to try and get out of that, but the shockwave was already set up beautifully. That was glorious from Flying Oisters.
Nice. Oh my God. Oh my Jesus.
Shiauc, what a legend.
Shiauc just could not believe his eyes. And rightly so. I mean, all three of the targets of that shockwave were like max range on it in different directions. They all get pulled in. It's like the maximum spectacle available from a shockwave.
That was so fun. That was amazing. But CFO, I mean, amazing play to follow up on that. BeanJ is in no man's land on the opposite side of the map, which means CFO starting to move in here. They know they've got Baron. They know they've got an opportunity. Maybe look for something before BeanJ gets back, but that window's now closed as Rest going to try and spread out the damage onto the mid lane turret as well.
Yeah. Rest has been doing a good job of putting pressure down this game. Like in that previous team fight, they know that Beer's going to go down. He's already setting up for the following play as well. Ultimate in underneath the tower. That'll be the mid lane inhibits tower gone.
Just creates a bit of a frozen field to get Team Wales away from everything, but doesn't mean you have to be a little bit careful. Like Rest now, popping Mega Gnar means that you've kind of got this timing window to get mid tower, back away, and wait until the ultimates are up and available again. So maybe that's where Team Wales might look for something if CFO overextend. You can see they're kind of pushing forward here. They know that this is a time where 2 ultimates essentially are unavailable.
It's an opportunity, potentially. You can't be scared of that shockwave at this point, though. After that last fight, you're going to be terrified. JimieN very close to finishing that death cap as well, which is a big, big moment for the Orianna. You go from sort of tickling everyone and pulling them in to one-shotting the entire team. It's now trying to pressure on to the second inhib in this bottom side. Team Wales not giving it up without a fight. JimieN, great little flash, and the combo to follow it up. Shockwave is there. It's 1-for-1 so far, though. They might have gone too deep for this one. Shunn still going strong. BeanJ finds him, kicks him into the play. The Gnar against the wall. It's got to be, I mean, there's no damage left. CFO, they've got to just flee this one. Surely a Sparda kicks him on out. Artemis is still alive. CFO, you've got to flee the play. Beer gets the engage, but who needs damage? I guess they're still somehow winning. Rest, having no time for sleep. He takes over, and the Oysters rise into the sky.
The mini Gnar to get the damage, to get the procs that he needed to chase down and pick off the remaining members. It may be rest, but he's putting the rest of Wales to rest in this one.
Just a lot of rest in one sentence.
Yeah,
CFO, though. Oh, God. I'm usually the one doing that. I'm usually the one making you cringe. CFO, though, phenomenal game there. And, you know, looking towards PSG and saying, hey, anything you can do, we can do better. Solid win here, very comfortable, and doing it in their way. Having complete control pretty much the entire game.
But I mean, what a performance from PCS today, right? Like, you get the first seed in Group A, now you're potentially looking at the first seed from Group B as well. Like, what a statement day for the PCS region. And I mean, they were absolutely incredible.